Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osibanjo has joined the list of candidates who have declared their intentions to run for the president in the 2023. And I have with me Judge Ajjan, an international political consultant and an election strategist. He joins me now as we look at the dynamics ahead of Nigeria's 2023 elections. Thank you so much for your time, Judge, today. And as someone who has viewed Nigeria for quite a while now, looking from afar, I'd like to get your take on the posturing we're seeing ahead of the elections.
Well, first of all, thanks, Ken. I'm always pleased to be back with you. When we look from an international point of view at Nigeria, I think that the international community is looking at three things in advance of this election. First is that they don't want to have any resumption of violence. They want Nigeria to continue on a path of peaceful transitions of elections. Secondly, they're looking at what's been happening over the past couple of years in West Central Africa. And frankly, the track record is not great between Chad, Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso most recently. Those are trends that they don't want to see Nigeria following. And Nigeria being the most populous on the continent, obviously, where it goes, the rest of the continent will follow. So they want to see a peaceful election process. And thirdly, as Chamberlain mentioned in the previous segment, the idea that Nigeria can help them shore up the diversity of their gas supply and energy supply lines, because as I'm sitting here in Central Europe right now, this is a huge concern. Energy prices are going up. This is affecting the middle class, it's affecting retirees. And so the more that Nigeria can participate in lowering energy prices for European consumers, that's always an area that they're keen to see Nigeria participate in.
All right, now there's quite a lot of issues to address here when you look at how both major parties are posturing ahead of these elections there. And I'd like to get your take on what we've seen play out. We've seen the vice president here signal his intention here. We've seen a senior ruling party stalwart also make his claim as well, and the seventh minister as well. And from where you see, what do you make about the declarations we've seen so far?
Well, first I would say, I think if we were having this discussion 8 years ago, we probably would have doubted if APC would have been able to sustain itself as a party, and yet it has. And we're now in a situation where Nigeria is a solid two-party state, and so you have, of course, primaries to determine who will be the candidates. And the big issue there is the zoning. So in the APC, this is more clear because Buhari has been president for 2 terms. It's pretty clear that the APC is not going to be able to nominate a northerner to take the presidential slot. And so there's a slew of candidates from the South. One of the most prominent, as you mentioned, just to declare, which is the vice president. It's complicated a bit for him because he may be popular. He's executed his duties well as vice president. He seems to have, the country didn't disintegrate, at least when Buhari was absent for medical treatments, and he had to basically run the state. And so he probably has a lot of popular appeal based on his personal characteristics. What he lacks, though, is a power base inside the party. He was never governor of a state. He's not particularly associated with any area. And the fact that he comes from the Southwest, and there's another major player, in the case of former Governor Tinubu from Lagos State, in the race, that complicates things regionally for the vice president. And so his candidacy looks really, really good in a general election. And in the primary of the APC, though, it's problematic for him how he's going to distinguish himself, and at least until we know if the president himself is going to the president is going to name a successor who he would like to see take the flag and carry it forward for the APC.
All right, but in terms of political risk, looking at what we're seeing play out so far for the business community and international investors, how would you say they're interpreting what is playing out right now then?
I think from this point of view, the main thing that, of course, the business community wants is stability. They don't want to have a situation where you have northern-southern tensions, where you have Muslim-Christian tensions. That's the last thing that anyone who's looking at Nigeria as a whole, and particularly people who are interested in investing, are looking at. And this is problematic from the PDP's point of view, because though the strongest candidates from the PDP are that have put themselves forward, Atiku Abubakar and Tambuwal and Saraki, etc. None of those guys are from the traditional voting base of the PDP, which is in the South. And if you look at Wike, for example, who's positioning himself from the South, he has more of an extreme record, and that's problematic. And again, going back to my first point, nobody wants to see Nigeria in a situation where there are ethnic or religious or regional tensions that threaten to put the country in a less stable situation, that threaten and certainly not going to allow for investment to flow and for the economy to thrive. And so those are really the issues that are at stake right now as we look at over the next 2 months as the parties pick their candidates to go to the general election.
But would you say, say in the past 8 years that the state of democracy in Nigeria has fared much better?
You know, it's very easy to criticize. I have been one that has defended Nigeria because I think compared to what could have happened, we could have had, if we look 8 years ago or 7 years ago, we could have had Goodluck Jonathan refuse to concede. We could have had this turn into a Muslim Christian story, another northern southern story, and it didn't. And even if people unhappy with the president, there was another free and fair election. Now, it wasn't perfect. There's still lots of intimidation. There's still lots of vote buying. There's still lots of things that lots of African countries have not fully come to terms with. But overall, I think the trajectory for Nigeria has not been as bad as some people would like to say.
All right, but what's your take on the walk ahead for the independent umpire?
I'm sorry, repeat?
Yeah, the walk ahead for INEC, that's the Electoral Commission going into next election.
Right. Well, look, you know, INEC, I think, has done a decent job of executing its duties, and there is going to be a need for a strong independent voice for INEC, because if INEC seems to be the tool of one party or the other, the tool of the incumbent party, that only feeds fuel on the fire of extremists or people who want the situation to disintegrate. So it will be important that INEC maintains a strong independence.